Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone, back again with me, AFADA SALMA IMAMA, by student number 2461212005. And today, I will present to you all my journal research by the title TED Talks for ESP, Bridging Diverse Santri at Ma'had Al-Jamiah UIN Surakarta. But before that, I want to say thank you to Mr. Zainal Arifin as my Speaking for Academic Purposes lecturer. Thank you, sir. Okay, and now we will begin. For the first, we have a research territory. English for Specific Purposes, or ESP, focuses on how students use English in their specific field. In ESP, listening is very important, especially for non-English major students. Many studies suggest that authentic materials are effective in ESP learning. One example of authentic material is TED Talks videos. Next. Okay, so the research context and gap here is about at Ma'had Al-Jamiah UIN Surakarta, students come from different pesantren backgrounds, such as tahfidz, traditional Nahdlatul Ulama, and modern pesantren. These differences influence how students learn English and how they engage in class. However, studies about ESP in pesantren contexts are still limited. Especially, there are few studies that explore the use of TED Talks for Santri learners. And this gap becomes the basis of my research. Next. Okay, research purpose and question. The purpose of this study is to investigate the use of TED Talks as ESP listening or input. This research focuses on students' engagement, learning strategies, and challenges. The participants are non-English major students. The main research question is how students' backgrounds and majors shape their ESP learning. Okay, so how about the research method? The research method. This study uses a qualitative case study design. 3 participants were selected using purposive sampling, and the research was conducted through a 3-day TED Talks intervention. And data were collected through observations, reflection forms, interviews, and field notes. Okay, next is about the participants' profiles. The first participant comes from tahfidz pesantren and studies accounting. The second participant comes from a traditional Nahdlatul Ulama pesantren and studies Islamic guidance and counseling. And the third participant comes from modern pesantren and studies Islamic psychology. Each participant shows different learning tendencies based on their backgrounds. And the next is about the findings. The first is about case comprehension. The findings show that all participants were able to understand the main ideas of the TED Talks. Short TED Talks helped students follow the content more easily. However, they often missed technical or detailed information. In addition, extended oral responses were still limited. Okay, the next is about challenges and vocabulary. One major challenge was the fast speaking of the speakers. Another challenge was technical vocabulary, especially in scientific topics. And neuroscience-related talks were the most difficult for the participants. Even so, students learned new vocabulary incidentally while listening. Okay, and next is about motivation and learning strategies. The result also show that relevant topics increase students' motivation and confidence. Each participant used different learning strategies. As like students from Tafid background relied more on memorization. Meanwhile, students from modern pesantren showed more oral engagement. And the discussion here is about the study shows that pesantren backgrounds shapes ESP learning strategies. The novelty of this research lies in highlighting the diversity of Santri learners in ESP contexts. The findings suggest that TT talks can be effective when supported with proper scaffolding. In conclusion, short TED talks can support ESP listening comprehension and students' motivation. Okay, and that's enough from me. With me, AFADA SALMA IMAMA. Thank you for your kind attention and pardon me for all of my mistakes. And the last I say, wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you and see you next time.